Social House Films is a predominantly short film production company right here on YouTube, showing us that you can create a creepy film without padding the runtime, a big cast, or even very much dialogue. Let's DIY our way into some chills on this episode of Cinema Autopsy. Hello, Scared Demerits. My name is Kayla, your movie mortician, and welcome to my channel and yet another episode of Cinema Autopsy. In this series, we watch fictional horror content and study it like a first-year med student on their cadaver, and we figure out what made us love it, hate it, or made us want to find our own cursed objects. Today, we jump into 5 short films by Social House Films. First, we're looking at The Ballerina. It's a 7-minute and 46-second short starring Valeska Miller, who is gorgeous. It was directed and edited by Aaron Fradkin and produced by Victoria Fratz. Aaron and Victoria are the director, editor, and producer, respectively, on all of these shorts. Right off the bat, I loved the coloring of this short. It's like a candle flame color, incandescent, if you will. The haunting background music was provided by Robot Disco Puma, and it is amazing. It sounds like an old music box with a dancing ballerina that wasn't wound all the way, so the last dregs of the melody are being forced out by sheer gravitational pull. When the light burns out and she falters, you can see the disappointment in herself so much you can actually feel it. It's really relatable to me, and to be able to portray that feeling in like 5 seconds and no words is amazing. She starts to run when she sees her reflection is sentient but decides to stay. Her reflection doesn't move from the choreography she was just doing, and the form is terrible, but the ballerina does it the proper way and the reflection gets super excited. The reflection does another move and the ballerina does it the proper way. The reflection looks about ready to cry in frustration because it is trying its best, but the ballerina is forcing her perfection on it and showing it that it's not good enough. The dichotomy of the perfectionist and the hobbyist is portrayed so well in this short. The ballerina's need for absolute perfection was her downfall. It's an intriguing speech that the hobbyist and the perfectionist can't coexist within the same person. I won't spoil the complete ending, but there is the most haunting dance at the close of this short. The backing track is creepy as well, with the fast-paced swells of synth that lead to bars of absolute silence. And as it turns out, Valeska Miller is a trained ballerina, which completely makes sense because she was way too good not to be trained. And gosh, she is so pretty. She's like vintage silver screen movie star type beauty. But anyway, next up we have is The Trunk, which is 6 minutes and 16 seconds, starring Misha Reeves, who stars in a bunch of shorts and their feature length called Val. I do want to see it, but I haven't yet, and maybe I'll review it on this channel. Who knows? This film is about a woman who finds a haunted trunk. So we get a snail's pace zoom out of the trunk on the side of the road, and then Misha walks into frame. There's something to be said about the use of an inanimate object as a focal point of a shot. I love it. It adds tension because we can't see the surroundings. She takes the trunk home and finds hair, teeth, and nails inside the trunk. To be honest, it is a very generic storyline so far. However, their use of camera techniques are adding little chocolate chips to this vanilla cookie. I love her steak face, number one, but I love that she shuts the lid and the camera pans with her. This technique has been used time and time again, but I just can't think of any examples right now. But her reaction after she sees the lid back open makes it a little bit fresh. It was very much like a, oh shit, nope. And then she just vacuums out the stuff and completely ignores it ever happened. I love this slow zoom in shot. There are many times when a slow zoom on a woman is completely sexualized. Like her boobs are prominent, or she's only in a sheet so the contour of her body is very prominent, or she's not in very much clothing. Not to saying that I don't wear inappropriate clothing to bed, but I'm never getting filmed in it either. To me, the trunk is kind of like a reverse Dybbuk box. Instead of the demon being an extrovert, the demon is in the trunk, a homebody, and wants his meals delivered via like Grubhub for demons. The camera movement is perfect. I understand it's supposed to be a POV switch and it amps up the tension because now, again, our view is now narrowed to a small window. It puts the audience in the character's position because we can hear stuff off screen, but we're focused on the trunk that won't stay shut. She screams as the demon comes out of the bathroom. Can you imagine if you got up in the middle of the night to use the toilet and you're fumbling your way back through the dark and your roommate screamed at you? Jesus, Sally, what is your problem? But on a more serious note, bathrooms are very scary in the dark. And moving right along, we have costumes starring Amanda Paris, and it is 5 minutes and 1 second. It features Victoria as a monster as well. This is the only short on this channel I didn't like at all. Not because of the story, but because the special effects were bad and distracting. When making the video, Erin and Victoria explained the problems they were having with the monster makeup and the throat/special effects. I would like to see them actually remake this now that they know what went wrong. I think it'd be interesting. So this woman is in her bathroom trying to figure out which Halloween costume she wants to wear. I guess for like a party. She takes an excessive amount of selfies and sees a creature in the background of one of them. I know some people who took selfies like this, and it was mind-boggling to me how they could take so many photos back to back to back. I take one and I'm like, that's good enough, moving on. But anyway, after peeking out into the hallway, she ignores it and finishes putting on her makeup because priorities. The creature appears behind her and slits her throat with a haggard nail. They have two different POV shots of this, and in one you can see she already has blood on her before her neck was cut. You can also tell Victoria was babying her nails, so it wasn't super believable. After watching the making of video, Victoria does explain that the nails wouldn't stay on and kept popping off. The monster makeup was kind of hard to see because of all of the texture. I would have tried to tone that down. Victoria did say the mask turned out way bumpier than she wanted. I also assume they're using what they had on hand, so I'm not knocking the budget or anything. I just think it's because like the bulk of the face doesn't match Victoria's arms. The monster is wearing skin of the main woman, so it's not really clear if what we see is supposed to be the monster's actual face, or if that was the face of somebody else that she had killed previously. Victoria does this well in other shorts too. She uses her body to act and give us insight into what the monster is thinking. With a mask or prosthetic, it's obviously very hard to emote using your face, so the use of her shoulders and even the little sassy head tilt is very good. Alright, so next is In the Walls, and it is an 11.5-minute short starring Mariah Ann Martin. This is her first time in a short on this channel, at least, and Misha Reeves also features in this one as well. It's the longest of the Social House film shorts, and it is the greatest number of characters and the most dialogue. It starts with a video chat with a woman, Lauren, and her therapist. The therapist is Misha Collins, the woman who was in the short The Trunk. Lauren tells the therapist she can't sleep because he's watching her. She does a bit of narration during a flashback, pretty much just to establish what we're watching is indeed a flashback, and then they proceed to show us and not tell us, which is amazing. This short also has a more cinematic feeling to it. Compared to the others. I love 99% of the other shorts, but this one has a bit more of a movie-like feel than it being a short film. Lauren is having issues with her new apartment. She's hammering a nail into the wall and the wall starts to bleed, but that's not the scariest part. Now she won't get her deposit back when she runs screaming. Anyway, she hears stuff moving in the walls and tries to convince herself it's nothing. I'm not trying to give too much away in any of these shorts because y'all should definitely go support their channel. I love that they use the fear of someone in the walls and of being quote unquote crazy or losing your mind together. That's very cool. Mariah and Martin is gorgeous. Like, excuse me, you look like you're sculpted from the finest clay and I look like a budget Mr. Potato Head. How is that fair? The lighting they use in this short is fantastic. She's backlit with white and the creepy maintenance man is shrouded in yellow. It's a good use of lighting to hint at the characters. It puts me in the mindset of like auras, like she's pure, meaning that her intentions are good, and his might not have been so pure, but they weren't completely nefarious. I love her jerk reaction. It seemed very authentic, like something I would actually do, versus like the covering of your mouth jump scare reactions, or like the hand to your chest, well, I never.
What was in the vents? Something way more sinister than rats, I know that.
I love the fed up sass with which she delivers that line. Mariah's use of micro expressions through this rant about the maintenance man knowing there was something in the vents is spectacular. The thinning of her lips, the pursing and the tight smile at the corners of her mouth, not the nod of affirmation, and then the shake of disbelief at what is actually happening is great.
Look, you're not stuck there. You can leave anytime you want.
Yeah, well, I didn't budget for a man in the walls. So.
First, great way to use the highly used trope of I can't afford to leave. It was a great way to do that. I would have tried and steered away from that, or maybe explain why she didn't have family or friends that she could bunk with for like the night, but still cool. This is a realistic internet browser. I'm sorry, if you don't have at least 5 tabs open, I don't think I trust you. Other spooky stuff happens, but I don't want to spoil it. But let me go get my water before I talk about this last one. I'll be right back. Okay, very good. Okay, so this last one is called Clown School. This one is 5 minutes and 48 seconds, and we see the gorgeous Valeska Miller again as the main character. She gets a vintage TV from like a garage sale and plans to turn it into a mini bar thing. They use a continuous pan shot on the dolly, and just that single shot alone made this movie so much more cinematic in my mind. The special effect where there's a ball in the lady's hand was pretty good. It wasn't the best, but I definitely seen worse in bigger budget movies, so I'm not mad at it. The credit scene is fantastic. I loved it. It was my favorite one of like all of the end credits scenes. But apparently they were going to go originally with something like The Ring and Samara, but decided not to. But I'm glad they went the way they did. Victoria made the costume for this short, for the clown in this short, and the original mask design was replaced with the one they actually used in the film. And in my opinion, the one they actually used was way better. Victoria originally used a paper mache 360-degree mask, and as a fashion designer, the various types of media used for the costume was too much. Sometimes it does work, but a lot of the time it becomes a little chaotic. And in my opinion, it would have taken away from the flow of the eye from the top to the bottom of the costume. I'd have to say the Ballerina was my favorite, and then In the Walls was my second favorite, but that's tied with like a whole bunch of other of their short films. Some that weren't even in this video. Oh my god, what's going on?